Hey guys, welcome back to the boat Hairspring. Ivan here. In today's video I'll give you a quick look at two recent releases from Citizen. The one on the left is the well-known EcoZilla, but this time with a new navy green dial and a grey DLC coated case. While on the right I'm holding the new Aqualand with a full bead blasted case and bracelet, a depth meter and a beautiful blue sunburst dial. Both of these watches have been lent to the channel by relojeriaesparza.com, who are an authorized dealer of not only Citizen but also Casio, G-Shock and Seiko. I've got a very good relationship with them, so if you're interested in any of the watches they've got in stock, contact them and they'll give you the best deal possible. The watch I would like to show you first is the EcoZilla. The reference number of this model is BJ8057-17X. And it's basically the same as the regular model BJ8050, except for a couple of differences. The first one is very obvious, it's the color. This new model comes with a navy green dial and a matching rubber band, which is pretty insane, and we'll have a closer look at it in just a moment. The second difference is the crystal, it's sapphire, while on the regular model it's a mineral one. Personally speaking, I absolutely love the new color, it has a military vibe to it. And the red accents on the bezel and the handset are also very nice. Other than that, it's exactly the same watch as the silver model. What I find really interesting about these EcoZilla Citizens is that despite the 48mm case diameter, they're quite manageable on the wrist. I mean, yes, this is a thick watch, 18mm, and it's also quite heavy, 179 grams. But I'm very happy with how it wears on my 17cm or 6.7 inch wrist. If you like big watches and your wrist size is closer to mine or bigger, then you'll definitely enjoy this one. Plus it doesn't wear very top heavy, as the rubber strap is amazing, and it helps with distributing the weight around your wrist. Speaking of the strap, just like the rest of the watch, it's built with a purpose, which is diving. It's very thick but at the same time flexible and comfortable, and it comes with an extension piece for when you want to wear the watch with a diving suit. The trade-off is that it has an integrated design, so using aftermarket straps is not possible unless you buy some adapters, but as I said, this one is very well made and it should last for years. Next guys, let's talk about the build quality, and when it comes to it, all I can say is that people call this watch EcoZilla for a reason. This is one very well made piece and it feels rock solid. For about €400 you're getting more than what you pay for. 316L stainless steel case that is nicely finished, and the DLC coating looks spectacular. And yes, it's a DLC coating and not a simple PVD, so it should last longer and it should be more resistant to scratches. Then, as I already said, the crystal is made of sapphire and the water resistance is 300 meters. In fact, this Citizen is ISO certified for saturation diving. Moving on to the dial, it's simple but I like it. It's very legible, and what really stands out here is the handset. You've got broadsword, minute and hour hands filled with a lot of lume, which I'll show you towards the end of the video. I would have preferred the date window to be a little bit bigger, or non-existent at all, but maybe that's just me as I'm very critical of date windows. Other than that, everything is nice and sharp, and this navy green color goes really well with the DLC grey case. The bezel action is also good, very crisp, with little to no backplay, and of course, it lines up. Before we continue with the Aqualand model, let me just tell you that the EcoZilla comes with the typical Citizen EcoDrive solar-powered quartz movement, which has a power reserve of 6 months. I haven't owned an EcoDrive yet, but I'm about to, and from what I've read, these are very accurate and great performing movements. Alright guys, we continue with this beautiful blue dial Aqualand JP-2000-67L. It was released about 4 months ago, however this model was released for the first time in 1985, and if you Google it you'll see that the design hasn't changed much. The depth meter on the left side makes the watch look very unique and easily recognizable, and although this is one of the most iconic dive watches, I admit that the design is a love it or hate it kind of thing. Personally speaking, I love unique, funky looking watches, so I can definitely see myself wearing it. And that brings us to the next point, which are the dimensions. If we take the depth meter into account, then the case diameter comes to about 50 millimeters. But if we don't, then it's just 44, and to be fair, that's exactly how it wears. The lug to lug is 47.6, while the thickness is 14.7. The lug width is 24 millimeters, and on this bracelet it weighs 207 grams unsized. On the wrist, guys, at least on the left one, the watch looks and wears better than I expected. It's comfortable, the weight balance is great thanks to the bracelet, and needless to say, it has a lot of wrist presence. Guys, here's a closer look at the bracelet. It's fully bead blasted, just like the case of the watch. All links are solid and joined by pins and collars, and the clasp has a ratcheting mechanism for micro adjustments on the go. It's actually a very decent clasp, and I wish to see more affordable brands to start using it, especially Seiko. Then the overall build quality is very good, the bead blasted finish looks good as well, and since this model is also an ISO certified diver with a depth meter, the water resistance of 200 meters is guaranteed. The one thing that surprises me a little bit is the mineral crystal. It's not a deal breaker, but I'm just surprised as Citizen typically uses sapphire in this price range. Now let's have a closer look at the dial. The blue color is really nice, it has a sunburst effect. The indices are printed, but the application of the lume is generous. The display at the top has good contrast and it's very legible. And finally, the oversized handset looks very good as well. It's a small detail, but I very much like the Lollipop seconds hand with that arrow tip. It just looks very cool to me. When it comes to the coin edge bezel, it has an aluminum insert and it's easy to grip. It's a 60-click bezel, just like on the EcoZilla, and the action is decent. It's a bit too easy to turn, but the backplay is minimal and the alignment is almost perfect. And here's what the lume on both watches looks like. From what I can tell, both perform the same. The initial glow is strong, then it quickly fades away but remains visible for a few hours. One thing that's pretty obvious is that the hands have noticeably more lume than the indices, but that's okay. It would have been worse if it were the other way around. So the lume may not be on par with Seiko's Lume Bright, but it's very good nonetheless. Next, I just want to briefly mention the movement. I actually couldn't find much information about it, but I can tell you that it's not an eco drive, so no solar charging. And according to the manual, if you use the alarm once per day and if you perform 50 one-hour dives, then it should last for about 2 years, and that doesn't sound bad at all. Obviously, if you don't dive much and you don't use the alarm every single day, then it should last longer than that. Besides alarm and diving modes, this module also has a stopwatch, and of course it can display the date and day of the week. Finally, since it's a quartz movement, you can expect it to be dead accurate. And that's the end of today's video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I did making it. Reviewing Citizen watches is always a pleasure. In my opinion, Citizen is a no-joke brand whose watches are built with a purpose. In fact, I'm now looking to buy an EcoZilla myself, just haven't decided which one. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about these watches in the comments below. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.